Hi guys, welcome to my gainer switch video. This is my gainer switch double cork. Alright, so in my view of gainer switches, there's three types of gainer switches. There's the starter gainer switch that starts any sort of chain of gainer switches or swing combos in my opinion, which is meant to be the strongest gainer switch out of all of them, if you're doing a lot. The second type is the chain gainer switch, which is mostly for the intermediate gainer switches. So like if you're going from a starter gainer switch to a dismount gainer switch, then those are all the intermediate gainer switches. These are a bunch of intermediate ones, I do like 5 I think, into a dismount gainer switch. And what a dismount gainer switch is this last one. And you can see right here, it looks different from all the rest because I'm using both my arms to pull around the double cork instead of only one. Okay, so the difference between all of them, technically, is that the first one is coming out of whatever setup. I like to use J-step or Euro step. I think it is technically Euro step because I'm using my left foot twice here. For the starter gainer switch, you can see I'm already building up a lot of power with my setup. My jump is essentially just lunging into an eagle. You can see that huge eagle position from right there. I do it with every single gainer switch. For my single O2, that's my O2, you can see I'm jumping into a giant eagle, and from there my arms and swing leg are already ready to swing as hard as I can for that gainer switch. So in my single gainer switch dub, you can see that they're all the same. My initiate gainer switch and my dismount gainer switch and even my intermediate gainer switch are all mushed into one, which is why I think it is the easiest and the hardest at the same time to do it for me, because you can just lump them all together. Same thing for cork, but this is a gainer switch video, so just focusing on that. Okay, so the difference between them technically is that when I'm going for my initiating gainer switch, I'm trying to get as much power as I can, swinging with both arms and my leg and trying to reach back with my chest. Now the purpose of gainer switch is essentially just a kick eagle. So you can see right here, I'm eagling, kicking with that right leg, try to get it all the way up to my hip level. If it's not up to your hip level, you're losing power. When I'm jumping, I'm trying to reach my chest around in a circular motion, and instead of pulling just straight up with my arms, you can see I'm rotating them around my body. Essentially I want to get as much rotation or flip as possible in my first gainer switch to lead up for the next ones. So as soon as I kick, get my foot up to my hip, I arch the lower back to get my chest and head down around my hips. So you can see I'm pulling down with my head and chest really hard off the first gainer switch. Pulling with those arms, and as soon as I'm roughly upside down, I'm kicking that second leg, my base leg, all the way through. You can see it's blurry right here. My swing leg is, you can see it, it's visible. The other one's blurry because I'm kicking it so fast. That is really, 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 really important for gainer switch. Like super important for gainer switch. You want to make sure that base leg is kicking harder than your swing leg. And that is true for every single type of gainer switch, all three types of gainer switch. You want to make sure that base leg is swinging harder than your swing leg. You can find this for a cork as well. You want to kick down to the ground. You want to like rise down to the ground for a cork. Same thing for this. You want to pull down to the ground with that left leg. Alright, so that's for the starting gainer switch. Pull up with that foot, hips up, make sure your foot gets to your hip level, pull down with your chest and head, arms go in a circular motion, not up. I see a lot of people just trying to pull up with their arms, and then they end up not getting enough flip. The upper half of your body has to be pulling down, and the bottom half of your body has to be pulling up. And if you do both of those the same velocity, then you're gonna flip really fast. But if you kick really hard, if I were to kick really hard right here and then not pull down with my chest, I would go straight up and then fall on my back. By the same token, if I were to pull down with my chest and not kick very hard, then I would probably fly backwards and not like land on my neck. Be very bad in either situation. So you want to kick with your foot and pull down with your chest as much as you can, equally. Alright, for the intermediate gainer switches, these are pretty much all the same. Essentially, you want to only be focusing on your left hand and right foot for this. Those are really important. Actually, yeah, left hand, chest, and right foot. Essentially, my rule of thumb is that if I can get my chest over my foot, I can do another gainer switch. And when I'm doing another gainer switch, I'm, again, trying to get that left leg down to the ground as fast as possible, pulling that left arm and right leg, my swing leg and swing arm, in unison. You can see they're both swinging at the same time. And again, I'm not just pulling up with my arm, I'm pulling around. It's pretty subtle, but I'm punching almost towards my face. And if you can see over here, I'm pulling like towards my face. It's not even directly up. I'm pulling into my body, like towards my face, to counterbalance it. And back for these intermediate gainer switches. Okay, so my base leg's going down. I'm kicking up to my hip, pulling with that right arm, or the left arm. The right arm essentially is different for every single flip. Essentially, you want to try and counterbalance yourself, but it depends on each flip. So you see on this one, it's hanging out by my side, and then as soon as I kick, it's going to shoot back, shooting back. But for some of them, I start it with it already back. Now, this is pretty much going to come in handy when you're doing the gainer switches, and it's really hard for me to explain because it's not something you consciously think of. It's all unconscious movement. Your body is going to balance yourself out, so just don't worry about that right arm. Focus on your swing arm. The right arm will do its thing. All you have to do is practice a lot, get that to like essentially fix itself. You can't really think about pulling it backwards, or you're focusing on the wrong things pretty much. Just focus on your swing arm, swing leg, pulling your chest down for those intermediate gainer switches. And then for the last gainer switch, dismount gainer switch, these are really fun in my opinion because like as the combo builds up in progression, you're doing all these beginner, intermediate, and then finally the dismount gainer switches. And the dismount gainer switch, you're getting ready to do anything harder. Essentially, you want to do like a cork, double cork, triple cork, any sort of cork variation. Essentially something harder than gainer switch out of a gainer. For this one, it's essentially huge eagle. I pick up and I try to spot the ground as early as possible for these dismount gainer switches. That way I have lots of time to wrap my mind around what I'm going to do next. I know exactly how to stabilize myself for that landing. I'm staring at the ground the entire time, reaching back with both my arms in a huge eagle, letting that swing leg lag really far behind. And you can see the difference on this one is both of my arms are back and they're swinging with my leg. That's different from the other gainer switches. You can see here on my eagle, right here, my arms are more into my body. Yeah, my arms are in my body. I'm swinging with my arm, only my left arm and my right leg. And then for the dismount gainer switch, you can see I'm swinging with both my arms and my swing leg into that double cork. Alright, same thing goes for concrete. You want to get that really big first gainer switch. I'm running into that eagle, hopping into it with the Euro step. Get that huge eagle, both arms back, right foot back. You can see at the very last second my ankle comes up towards my butt. That's pretty important. If you pull your ankle towards your butt on every single eagle, you're going to get a lot bigger swing, which equals a lot bigger gainer switch. Equals more power, equals easier for you to do triple corks. Alright. First thing is, I get my foot to my hip level, and then I reach my chest back, head back, arms pulling in a circular motion, kicking that second leg through. I'm pulling with my right arm only, or my left arm only. That other arm is staying back. It's just not doing anything until it needs to correct my sideways motion. Another thing I'd like to talk about with gainer switch is the angle that I'm at. I'm not truly standing straight up. You can see right here, I'm almost at like, if this is 180 degrees, this is like 150 degrees. I'm very like slanted in these. If I start going up straighter, my body is vertical, like 180 degrees from the ground, then my foot can't kick through all the way straight. I have to bend my leg, which means I don't get enough swing and I get no power. So I try to keep about 15-30 degrees from vertical on all my gainer switches. You can see right here is a really clear line from my ankle all the way up to my shoulder that I'm leaning over that base leg. Really important for gainer switches. I would say for all gainer switches, the beginner gainer switch, you want to initiate that angle so you're not too far over your foot. You want to make sure you're not falling over the other way either. The initiating gainer switch is really important that you start off at this angle. All the intermediate gainer switches, super important to keep this angle. You don't want to deviate from it too much. If you do, you'll start to feel less power. And then the last gainer switch, you want to make sure you're also leaning over a little bit. That's the direction you're going to swing for your corks. You're going to swing over this right shoulder. So if you're standing straight up for that dismount gainer switch and you're swinging directly up, you're going to kick to the wrong shoulder. You're going to kick straight up to your right shoulder instead of your left shoulder across your body. Yeah, same thing on concrete, same thing everywhere. Make sure that left leg kicks harder than your right leg. If you're doing a lot of gainer switches, try to get them to have the least amount of effort as possible per gainer switch. What I like to do for these is just focus on my left leg, my plant leg. The right leg just sort of swings around, and I'm really just powering through with my left leg. And that arm, of course. The swing arm and your plant leg are what's going to get you a lot of gainer switches in a row. This is my powerful dismount gainer switch. You can see I'm kicking up with everything because I want to get a lot of power in this one. As soon as my foot gets to around hip level, I'm jumping, pulling back those shoulders and my head. Arms are still going in circular motion. And for this dismount gainer switch, for the single gainer switch dismount, it's slightly unique because I'm traveling a bit over because I'm running really fast into my Euro step. You can see how big my eagle is over here. I'm just leading that out, dragging it out as long as possible so I can get that huge swing with all three of my appendages. Big plant, you can see that angle I'm at. I'm almost past 45 here because I want to block really hard and go straight up. I don't block enough here actually, I think, because I'm still traveling over to the left. I kick really hard with that left foot. My arms come back into that eagle. You can see they're almost staying in the exact same place. And my foot is staying in the exact same place until I start kicking. And I almost start kicking before my foot hits the ground. But like, if you want, start kicking right when your foot hits the ground and pull with your arms. Make sure your chest stays up for dismount. And you want to pull back in your lower back to try and get your upper chest to pull back for that flip. Yeah, that's my gainer switch tutorial, guys. Hope you guys liked it. Remember that there's 3 types of gainer switches. They're all different, but they're all very much the same. If you get that, then you can gainer switch.